G'day everybody, how you going today? It is spectacular to see you. I do hope that you are well. We are looming precipitously on the edge of going back into lockdown where I am. We've had a little bit of an outbreak from another state and restrictions are starting to increase. Fingers crossed they get it under control. Anyway, we're here to talk about the latest Nikon news and rumours. And the rumour mill is running hot that Nikon is going to be having a formal bunch of announcements next week, as early as next week, sometime in the start of June. Start of June is next week. We don't know the exact date for sure. Now, the strongest rumours that we have on top of those rumours are that it's going to be a body announcement with some lenses. That's pretty exciting. And yet another rumour on top of that is that it's going to be an APS-C camera, and another rumour on top of that that has just come to light, thank you to our friends at Nikon Rumours and the new camera website, is that it could well be a retro body. Something a little bit like this body right here, the old Nikon DF, a camera that I have always lauded, but never quite pulled the trigger on because at the time I was just interested in the best bang for buck. This camera was cool, but it was not the best bang for buck. It was basically something like a D4 in this old body. And at the same time that this came out, the D800 came out. We went from 16 megapixels up to like 36 megapixels. Well, for someone like me, that was the direction that I wanted to go in. So it was pretty simple. But the DF is still around and it still sells very strongly today. Even second hand, it is still expensive. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? So all those rumors put together are the fact that we might be seeing an APS-C or maybe even a full frame version in the Z mount of something like this. How crazy would that be? Now, I can see both versions of this camera in both sensor sizes having merit. The APS-C version, of course, would be in direct competition with Olympus and with Fuji. And, you know, that's a percentage of the market that's worth challenging, of course. And to the best of my understanding, some Nikon users over the last few years, decade or so, have moved from their Nikon full-frame mount over to the smaller Fuji or Olympus mounts. That's fine, that's fantastic. Nikon might be looking to get some of that market back. It could be argued that a full frame version, a DF, basically the same as this camera here, but in an ultra small body, and ultimately that would fit somewhere around where the Sony A7C fits. Now interestingly, the A7C also has some very vague minor retro styling about it as well, trying to be a little bit cooler rather than just all the standard alpha bodies that we see today, which are all very similar. The C actually stands out as being a little bit different and having some retro styling. Very minor, but retro styling about it. So both of those markets make sense. So really, at this point in time, we don't know, but there's been more rumors about a compact entry-level APS-C camera, so I think that's probably the one we're more likely to see. Now, whether it's retro or not, who knows? But I do think there is a solid market out there for those sort of people. And to be honest with you, I was looking quite closely at the A7C with its flip-around screen and all of the features that it has for just simply video, vlogging, for someone like me in a channel like this. I would not buy that camera for photography as a serious enthusiast or professional. It just doesn't have the viewfinder for it. But as a vlogging camera, absolutely amazing. Will we see next week one of those iterations, one of those variants that we have just talked about? Some people are a little bit upset by the idea that we might see yet again another more entry-level camera rather than a Z8 or Z9. Now this is a difficult one to balance because Nikon have to do two things. They have to keep the high-end happy, but they also have to keep the entry-level happy as well. Now they have formally announced the Z9, the fact that it's being developed, and they have formally said it's going to be their best camera ever. So if you're just to take them on face value, this camera's coming, and it's going to be the best Nikon camera that you could ever possibly get. I'm a person who's just happy to take what Nikon is saying there on face value and just leave it be. It will come. It's probably going to come in the next 6 months or less, and it's going to be the best camera that they've ever made. That's fine. So that market is satiated, and in the meantime, you can use your D500, your D6, your D5, or your D850, or your Z6, Z6 II, Z7, or Z7 II. So all of those cameras will satiate you until the Z9 comes. So I think Nikon creating even more opportunities for people to come into the Z mount at very affordable prices actually makes sense. And those professionals, people like me who are looking for a Z8 or a Z9, well, we know the Z9's coming. We pretty much know the Z8 is coming. They're coming. Is your camera letting you down? Mine's not. I'm getting everything that I want to get. And I know for people who are bird in flight people who seem to have a very loud voice, but I'm confident that they do not make up 50% or more of the market. I'm confident of that. For everyone else, the Nikon cameras Z are fantastic. And for, if you're still in the F mount, the D5, D500, D6, D850, still doing a great job. Yes, they don't have bird eye detect. This is true. But I think that's not too far off, and I think that's not too far off in the Z9. I don't think there's anything too much to worry about if we get another iteration of a camera. Now, it depends on whether, I would like to qualify that statement by saying it does depend on whether it's a good or a bad camera. And, you know, that anybody actually likes the look of and anybody actually wants. If they get the balance of bits and pieces in this camera right, could be an absolute winner. Now, if it's an APS-C, and I believe we're expecting a 24mm pancake and a 40mm pancake lens, if it's APS-C and small and kind of retro vibed, then these lenses would go on there nicely, and they would equate to a 36mm lens and to a 60mm lens. And then you start to get a sense of what Nikon's strategy there is that it'll work quite nicely with both sensor sizes. Let's just entertain the idea that this is a retro style camera in the vein of an Olympus or a Fuji or the old DF. What do we feel about external buttons? Well, look, for me, there's the pros and cons. You know, it's quite nice to be able to maybe look down and go, you know, I want 1/20th of a second and I want the ISO whatever, and you can do all those sorts of things. But with a Z6, Z6 II, Z7, Z7 II, and lots of other cameras, you can look down and there's a screen and you can just rotate your dials. I don't think there's much difference from that perspective. And of course, when you're shooting and you're wanting to create shutter on a Nikon, you just do this tiny little flick and you get the shutter that you're after. You don't need to take your eye down and it all keeps moving. To kind of go up here with your other hand and find a dial, and to me that just slows things down, and the ergonomics of it I don't love. But anyway, these sorts of cameras are aimed at a specific type of user, a specific niche where you want to slow down, you want to enjoy the process, you want to enjoy the feel, the look, and I totally respect that. So, use case oriented, horses for courses, what works for you. That's exactly what this is all about, and that's exactly why this sort of camera might exist. Personally, on balance, do I think that Nikon would do this type of niche camera right now? It's a real 50-50 one for me, a real 50-50 one. And I don't know if the market's kind of strong enough right now and whether people are that interested in it. But conversely, I do think there's a market there with Fuji and Olympus that Nikon could try and move into. Obviously, over the last 10 to 15 years, the Olympus and the Fujis of this world have taken and held a great deal of ground, creating these retro-styled cameras. So there's a genuine market there. There is genuine opportunity for Nikon to take market share from something else. Just like I have suggested in the past that if they made a small medium format like the GFX 100 or 100S even, and the 100S from my perspective makes this even more likely because it's a much smaller body, again, they would be taking market share from other companies, which of course is what they need to do. That's what Sony has done to them, and that's what they need to do to other people. That's just the way capitalism and commerce works. So, I think it would be a good idea. Is the timing right now? That's the question. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below about this topic. Please, would you like to see a retro-styled entry-level APS-C or full-frame Z camera that's quite affordable and very, very small? Let me know your thoughts about that. And then hopefully we get some lenses, and hopefully those lenses are the Pancakes, the 105 macro micro, and some tellies, whether it's the 100 to 400, 200 to 600. People would love to see any or all of those lenses ASAP. So Nikon, if you're listening, please, can we have at least 2 tellies, 1 zoom, 1 prime, 1 micro macro, and the Pancakes ASAP? And a little bit more info on the Z9 would be awesome as well. There has been some other speculation that this might be a further announcement about the Z9 as well. That's another option. So the 3 options are new body, new lenses, and maybe more talk about the Z9. Could be one of those, could be 2 of those, could be all of those. Coming soon, hopefully next week. We've all been very patient, and Nikon thanks us for our patience. I am absolutely sure they thank us, but you know, it's getting on towards 6 months once we get to June. Not quite, but getting there, 5 months and change. Come on, Nikon. I'll see you very soon. Look, if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe. Please click on the notification bell so you make sure you see me when I'm next here. Please share, please like, and visit us in our gallery. And also check out our amazing web offerings. I'm going to tweak the pricing on the tubed prints because I think the overseas freight pricing is not quite right. I need to check that out. Got to get it a bit lower. But anyway, check it all out. We'll look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Hopefully we've got some good news coming from Nikon. My fingers are crossed. I think all of us should cross our fingers. Let's do a global finger cross. All right.